Without further ado, I think we should talk some UFO news because that is something we live and breathe here, and we always have a lot of fun doing on a regular basis. And we have our news correspondent, Jason McClellan, here to go through the UFO news of the week. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Alejandro. I'm glad
pleasure.
to be here.
As always, huh?
Thank you for that introductory speaky about the Congress. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe it's right around the corner.
I know. It always flies up on you.
Next week, we will be there setting up at this time. So,
right.
Stressed out currently, but excited.
Yep.
All right, guys, let's talk some news. This is your Open Minds News Brief for Monday, February 13th, 2012. That means tomorrow's Valentine's Day.
That's right.
Well, a glowing UFO was recorded on video as it hovered over the Thames estuary in England on Sunday, February 5th. The Daily Mail described that in the video, quote, the mysterious oval aircraft seemed to be suspended in the air, displaying several amber gold lights of varying sizes, end quote. As is the case with many UFO videos, this video is shaky and pixelated, and therefore it's difficult to make out any real detail or determine any movement from the object in question. The witness explained that the camera was handheld while he shot the video, and he was using the camera's full 40 times zoom. The witness, YouTube user Space999Dude, uploaded this 53-second video to his YouTube account. The Daily Mail brought attention to a few comments left by skeptical viewers. For example, one viewer asked, "Why stop filming after 53 seconds?" The witness answered this question, explaining that he shot the footage from his car, but had to stop recording because he was parked illegally and had to move his car. Other viewers criticized the witness for not zooming out to, quote, give us some perspective and to give us, quote, something to compare it with. So the witness posted a second, longer video on Wednesday, February 8th. This video includes a zoom out and is longer in duration. It's a little strange that the witness happened to have a longer version of his video that just happened to address two of the main complaints with his first video. But regardless, Space999Dude's videos have garnered widespread attention from mainstream media outlets around the world in just a few days. And I know that Lee Spiegel looked into this a bit, and I know Mark D'Antonio from MUFON was contacted, and he looked at the videos too, and concluded that he was 99% sure that the lights in the video are from a ship on the water.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's difficult to tell from the video, though. I mean, there's not much to go on. You've got these weird lights that seem far away, but there is water there, and with water at a distance, it's hard to tell where the horizon is, especially when it's dark like it was in this video.
Right. Yeah, I can't, like you said, there's not a lot of information there, so I can't really make a determination either way.
And with photos or video where things are zoomed in or blown up so much where all you're really seeing are pixels,
yeah,
you can't determine anything about the size or the shape of the object.
Yeah, but the Daily Mail and those guys get all, and the Sun just jump on anything these days.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I was even noticing, I talked with Lee about this the other day, the Daily Mail, and I guess this is the bane of the Huffington Post, and I hadn't seen this, they will just repost other people's stories without giving them credit. And they did that recently.
I've noticed that, and I've actually been contacted by one of the witnesses from a couple weeks ago who submitted a photo to us, or we did a story on them, and they sent us additional details that weren't covered by, I believe it was the Daily Mail. And in fact, they said that their photos of the UFO in question were used without this person's permission. They were given by somebody else to the Daily Mail, and even though the Daily Mail knew that this person didn't have the rights to allow them to print these photos, they did anyway.
Yeah, that's interesting. More and more, even larger news organizations are getting lax on those kind of things.
Oh, yeah. Well, and we've talked about it before. I mean, it seems more and more mainstream news organizations are relying solely on YouTube as a source.
Yeah.
And while there is credible information on YouTube, it's not sufficient to just post a YouTube video and say, use the description from the person and say, here, this is our source.
Right. Because often those YouTube videos, too often, have little to no information.
Often. Right. Right. talking about the Sun, and I think it was the Sun who started it, and then the Daily Mail and everybody else took it. That one photo, who still has many people believing, the photo of the seagull.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like a
the seagull
saucer-shaped craft.
Taking
it has an orb exiting it, a smaller orb leaving from the bottom of the craft.
A gray and white seagull-shaped object that has a white orb exiting its bottom.
It has a poo-shaped orb.
Yeah.
I don't know. But they are clever with their shape, how they describe their shapes of craft.
Yep.
Over in the UK. We've talked about that before.
Right. At least they're getting creative that way.
But I don't think they've actually used the poo shape. But maybe they will in the future. That's a good description.
They're silly.
Well, Alejandro, I think you saw this. Iron Sky is a Finnish sci-fi movie that has been in the works for several years. Production began all the way back in early 2006, but it appears the filmmakers have finally completed production. The main premise of Iron Sky is that Nazis have been on the moon since the end of World War II, and in 2018 they launched an attack against Earth from their lunar base. The official theatrical trailer for the film was just released last week, which provides additional plot details. For example, a female United States president is revealed, and as the Metro explains, quote, "The female president is a clear parody of former vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin, with the trademark red lipstick and glasses, teamed with a stuffed grizzly bear in the White House." The trailer also reveals that Nazis aren't the only ones with a spaceship. The U.S. apparently has its own spaceship, named the USS George W. Bush. Iron Sky premieres at the Berlin International Film Festival this month, and the movie is scheduled for an April 4th release. I don't know why they're not premiering it at the EBE Film Festival.
That's funny. It's Berlin.
Yeah.
Nazis on the moon. And I think when we talked about it, they had contacted us earlier. I don't maybe Maureen will remember, but I think they contacted us to tell us about their movie. And what was funny is that a lot of the acting and everything is really cheesy. Looks almost more like a YouTube video.
Yeah.
And back then, a few years ago, when kind of the news broke and they made some press releases and stuff about their film, you didn't see the fancy CG stuff. So maybe it hadn't been shot by them, but I wonder if that publicity they got was able to help them generate a bunch of money. So they took this kind of fan movie type thing and added all of these cool special effects. Because if you look at the trailer, the special effects look really cool.
Yeah, that film has come a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember we started talking about it. I think it was probably 2 years ago when we were talking about this, and they were supposedly close to being done at that time. But I think it's become a completely different movie now.
Yeah, it used to be kind of this hot girls in German tight, skimpy outfits and a few jokey things. But now it's expanded into like a full, the whole Sarah Palin thing was new. They didn't have that before. And then all of these special effects. So it's going to be fun to see once it comes out.
The whole Nazi girl thing is still what they're pushing with their movie posters. But yeah, you don't get that at all from the trailer that was just released. So. Well, in other news, multiple UFOs caused a mild stir in New Zealand on Saturday night. According to the International Business Times, 6 bright red lights were observed over the major city of New Plymouth at approximately 9:30 p.m., moving from the east before turning and disappearing in the north. A witness described, quote, "At first, there were 3 lights traveling in a triangle formation, and then 3 more followed. But since then, a woman has come forward claiming responsibility for the strange lights in the sky. Sarah Lynham, who got married on Sunday, said that the attendees at her banquet dinner for the bridal party, quote, lit a series of floating lanterns that were sent off into the sky, and she says this occurred around 9:30 p.m. The bride stated, "So it was us, I'm afraid," adding, "It was fairly windy last night, and most of the lanterns took off fairly quickly." So again, Alejandro, our nemesis, the Chinese lantern.
Chinese lanterns!
Why I oughta? Yeah, those things are so much trouble.
Yeah. You know what we need to invent is some sort of Chinese lantern-seeking water balloon that nails those suckers, drenches them, and just makes them plummet right out of the sky. Then we know.
Well, you know what? I think if this wouldn't be a problem, I think we just need to make sure everybody has $100,000 camera lenses, because with a $100,000 camera lens, you can zoom in on these suckers and you can see the brand printed right on the side, the little sticker on the bottom.
And we know that because we went out with some friends with a camera that was $100,000.
$100,000.
We thought our stuff was impressive, and yeah, red light out there. You were able to zoom in and see the balloon the Chinese lantern as if it was a couple feet away from you.
Yep.
Because we've launched those things, and I mean, that thing was clear in the video.
Quite clear.
And you'll get to see these videos eventually, and we'll tell you about it when it comes around. But
yeah,
it's got to be our secret for now.
Yep. And I guess it's not practical for everybody to have $100,000 camera lenses.
No.
I would like one, but it's not going to happen.
If you got one laying around and you want to donate it to us,
we'd be more than happy to
accept
put it to good use. Yes. Well, in another movie here to talk about, a sci-fi movie about 6 astronauts who were the first to travel 3 years to Jupiter's moon Europa is being made. Astronauts in the Europa report have a mission to explore Europa's subterranean oceans and to prove the existence of extraterrestrial life. Like similar movies have done prior to their release, the filmmakers recently launched a website they hope will serve as a viral marketing tool for the movie. This website, EuropaVenturesLLC.com, is supposed to be the company's website for the fictitious company Europa Ventures LLC, the company funding the mission to Europa in the movie. Content on the site is sparse at the moment, and much of it seems to require a password to access. But there is a video on the site, and as firstshowing.net explains, the video shows the crew, quote, doing normal activities for a bit, then cuts to black with a signal interruption error at the end. The Europa report is scheduled for a 2013 release. There's very little information about this movie right now, Alejandro, but it seems interesting. You know, it's right in line with a lot of space exploration that's being done now, and a lot of the discoveries made about Europa and other moons and other planets, with this greater volume of water than previously thought. And so this movie looks at a fictitious mission going to explore Europa. And from this fake website that's made, it's sort of comes across as it's supposed to be a real website. Mm-hmm. So I can't quite tell yet if the film is supposed to be like a found footage film like Apollo 18. But at least the premise of the film sounds interesting, and it's something that I would like to watch. Well,
2010, if you remember the end of the movie where they're kind of like, this is ours, everything else in the solar system is yours. The extraterrestrials are telling them that, but it's weird and enigmatic because you can't tell what's going on because they're trying to do like 2001. That next book that Arthur C. Clarke wrote was, or at least the story that was kind of the sequel to that, was kind of what they had done is the aliens took Europa, and the premise was that they created life there, and they wanted humans to stay away from Europa because they were seeding it with life, kind of like they the premise is that that's what they did here on Earth, with the monkey throwing the bones and stuff after they touched. So they did this again on Europa, and this was their experiment, and then they went away, and then humans went to Europa to explore what the aliens did on Europa. And I don't know much about that sequel or that book, but that's kind of the premise of Arthur C. Clarke's story past 2010. So sounds kind of similar, which I always thought would be a great movie, and it's an exciting concept. So hopefully this will be a good movie.
I hope so. I'm always worried when there's little information about a movie and they say, oh, yeah, it's got this nebulous release date sometime next year. So
it reminds me how excited I am for Prometheus. So.
Oh, yes.
I'm getting really excited.
I'm right there with you, buddy. Well, here, speaking of exciting, here is some exciting breaking news that broke late last week.
Nice.
Colin Andrews has been coordinating an investigation for weeks into what he considers to be an extraordinary UFO photograph. The photo was taken by Andrews' friend and rock star Annie Haslam from the English progressive rock band Renaissance. According to Andrews, quote, Haslam took a photograph of her backyard and found that 2 golden discs appeared in the photo. She did not see these objects when she took the photograph. The original digital photo has been analyzed by a team of researchers assembled by Andrews, including Dr. Bruce Maccabee, who has examined hundreds of photographs during his long career. According to Andrews, neither he nor Maccabee have ever seen anything quite like this before. The strange objects in the photo are apparently extremely detailed. Additional research currently underway will be completed before the photo is revealed to the public, and that unveiling will take place at the beginning of Colin Andrews' presentation on Saturday, February 25th at the International UFO Congress.
Exciting. I didn't know about this piece of news. Actually, this is news to me.
He just told us about it last week.
Yeah.
So,
and if you're watching the video, you can see the shock and amazement on my face.
you do have genuine shock.
Well, is this the camera I should be looking at, or is it that one?
That's up to whichever one Maureen puts you on. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, so that's exciting. We'll see what happens. He's got a team of doctors or PhDs and other scientists actively looking into this photo. And apparently there are many tests being done, and they're pretty excited about it.
That sounds really cool. I'm probably not as excited as I should be when I think about it, because being in this field for so long, you get cynical.
I hear you, buddy, and I feel the same way, especially when I hear that she didn't see it when she took the picture. That more times than not is a red flag.
Yeah.
That we're looking at lens flare or some other issue, but
yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, these guys have seen a lot of UFO photographs.
Yeah.
So
something, it's got to be very interesting to get them excited.
And something like lens flare or reflection doesn't always have the extreme detail they're saying that these discs have in this photo.
Well, cool.
So we'll see. Yeah, it'll be exciting, and another reason to make it out to the UFO Congress to see Colin Andrews' presentation. So.
Awesome. Wow, this is really cool.
Well, Alejandro, that is it for the news. And remember, guys, like we talked about, the International UFO Congress is next week. The 21st starts the EBE Film Festival, and the conference goes into full swing on the 22nd. So we hope to see as many of you guys there as possible. We'd love to meet you if we haven't met you already. And that is it for the news. Remember to check out all of these stories and so many more at openminds.tv, your source for UFO-related news. I'm Jason McClellan, your Open Minds news correspondent, and you've just been briefed.